Welcome to Taxes Made Simple, Refund Made Bigger. Let's get into today's topic for the day. It's very important topic that we are going to talk about. But before we go into it, if you have not subscribed to our channel, please subscribe to our channel on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Rumble. And let us get more informational videos on how to maximize our tax refund or lower our tax bill. This is Taxes Made Simple, Refund Made Bigger, and we are going to talk about married filing separately. We spoke about single filers and married filing jointly, but today we are going to talk about very important filing status, that is married filing separately. It is very important because it can reduce your refund or it can maximize your refund based on certain things that you have. So what is this status? So marriage filing separately is a status that individual tax filers select that they want to file their taxes separately from their spouses. So just like if you have you guys are married but you decide to have a separate bank account, it's more or less like you are married, but at the end of the year when you are filing taxes, you want to tell IRS that yes, even though I am a married person, but I want to be liable, I want to file my taxes separately, thereby I take care of my own income, my own deduction, and my own tax credit. So this kind of filing status is married filing separately. You will let it to file this with IRS. So people who qualify to do this, like I said, are people who are married. Even at the end of the year, they are still legally married, or they are separated from their spouse but they are not yet divorced. They can also elect this filing status. So let's look at the benefits of selecting this kind of filing status, that is married filing separately. What is the benefit of it? The number one benefit is that there's a protection of individual liability. So a spouse may decide to file their taxes separately from her other spouse because he does not want to be liable to her other spouses or her husband's liability with IRS. So maybe before you got married, your husband has owed IRS a lot of money, thousands of dollars of tax bill to IRS. So you have come into the marriage like that, and you do not want to take part of your husband's debt before the marriage. So you decide to file your taxes separately from your husband so that your husband can be liable to her debt and you are liable to your refund or whatever it is that you're going to get. Or a couple that knows that even though we have been married for long, but my spouse or my husband is always inconsistent with reporting his income to IRS, or is inconsistent in claiming some deductions, inconsistent in claiming some credits, and he doesn't want to be part of that inconsistency, will decide to file his tax return selecting the filing status married but filing separately. So this person is preventing herself from being liable to the husband's mistakes. And then the next thing is that when you have higher medical bills, higher medical expenditures, or you have student loan, you might decide to file your taxes separately to take advantage of the 7.5% of the AGI. So if that spouse, let's say the wife's income is low and her medical expenditures are high, that he can claim up to 7.5% of the AGI, which is the annual gross income, this person will elect to select married filing separately to be able to take advantage of the higher medical expenses, thereby maximizing her tax refund or lowering her tax bill. Or if you have a student loan that is income driven, he might also decide to select the married filing separately to be able to claim these deductions on her tax return. And then the other thing is that the avoidance of joint tax liability. So if you want to avoid joint tax liability on the tax return, because when you are married and you file your taxes jointly, anything that is wrong on that return, you are going to be jointly and severely penalized for any inconsistency, of any error, of any debt that joint return incurs. So a spouse who wants to avoid the joint tax liability of filing jointly will decide to elect the married filing separately status so that he will not be jointly liable to the income that is reported, jointly liable to the deductions, jointly liable to the credits that is claimed on the tax return. So this spouse will elect married filing jointly just to take advantage of this kind of filing status. Then the other one is that in the states that are community property states, the state divide the income and expenditure equally between the spouse. So filing separately could benefit you under some circumstances when you elect this filing status. So we look at the benefit, which is what? Not jointly liable to the tax return, also having higher medical deduction or claiming your student loan, and also what? Be individually liable to your own your own tax return. So avoiding the debt of your spouse, you can decide to file separately. Now let us look at the disadvantages of filing marriage filing separately. The disadvantage of that is that one of the disadvantages is that you lose on tax credits. If you select this status as your filing status, that is marriage filing separately, tax credits like earned income tax credit, child and dependent care credits, American opportunity credit, that is education credit, you will lose on this if you select marriage filing separately. And these are deductions these are credits that are very, very, very heavy. They are wonderful. They are good. So if you select this marriage filing status, you could lose on this, especially with the American opportunity credit. You will lose on that deduction. But if you have kids, instead of you to gain some credit because you select marriage filing separately, you lose on this wonderful, wonderful tax credit. The other disadvantage is that you have the chance to be taxed at a higher tax bracket. So let's say you fall under the 24th percentile on your individual tax income. If you should join it together, you could still be you could have a higher income taxed at the 24%. But if you do it separately, you will end up being taxed at a higher tax bracket, which could lower your tax refund. So that is one of the disadvantages when you select marriage filing separately. You are taxed at a higher tax bracket. And then also there are some retirement savings that you will not be. You have restriction on your retirement savings. That is, if you live with your spouse at any point in time during the year, there's a limit of the income that you can contribute to your Roth IRA, or there's a limit of a deduction that you can also deduct from your traditional IRA. So it is very important that you look at all these things when you are selecting your tax filing status. So, and also the last one is that you also have you have a dilemma of what to do if you select marriage filing separately and your individual, because of your high medical bill and also the student deduction, that person decide, your spouse or your wife decide to itemize her deductions. You, the husband, also have to also itemize your deductions on your tax return. Your wife cannot itemize her deduction and you will elect standard deduction. So this is something that is very, very dicey. A wife who has a lower income and higher medical bills and have a student income and was able to itemize her deduction and get about $20,000 deduction, and a husband who has less deduction, which is about $6,000 deduction, this husband lose about $8,000 in standard deduction because the spouse elected itemized deduction, and his itemized deduction are not even up to the standard deduction of the $14,600. So this is one of the disadvantage in this kind of selecting filing status, which is marriage filing separately. So it is very, very important that when you are choosing this status, you see a tax professional like myself or any other tax professional out there that can help you, guide you to choose the right filing status, especially if you are married, because you lose your child credit and all that. You lose so much when you select marriage filing separately. You can also gain, but you have to weigh both of them. Let the advantage outweigh the disadvantage when you are selecting this filing status. So you can find us on StanfieldTaxServices.com. That's www.StanfieldTaxServices.com, or call us and let us help you how to navigate this tax world stress-free. So in case you have not subscribed to our channel, please subscribe to our channel on YouTube, on TikTok, on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. It's Stanfield Tax Services, or in some cases, it's Taxes Made Simple.